Brendan Coughlin, the price of oil's down, the price of technology is down, but college costs just keep moving up. Why is that?
Yeah, the college cost has gone up 2 to 3 times the rate of inflation looking all the way back into the 70s, and there's a lot of reasons for it, but it generally is cost creep by the universities. And what's happening is because the university cost is going up, higher education is still very much part of the American dream, and so when you start to see debt loads building, the only way for students to reach and to get to their school is to finance it these days. So there's a lot of interplay there between the cost of education, and it's a really tough one to sort of piece together, but there's no question that it has not slowed. It's continuing at that pace.
And we keep hearing about this student debt load crisis. So what should students and their parents know before sending their kids off to college?
Yeah, one of the things that's surprising, we just did some research, about 55% of families do not do any homework before they pick their school and decide how to finance it. So the whole idea of return on investment is not a conversation that is common across the country. So we always recommend that families sit down, they do their homework, they figure out what major they want and the commensurate income that they're going to make coming out of school before you make those big ticket decisions, and then you wake up 4 years later with a lot of debt and have some buyer's remorse. And we do see over 70% of households have some level of buyer's remorse when they get out of school, that they are not sure that the money they paid for it was worth the value that they extracted from it.
All right, so students, they do their 4 years in college and they graduate and they have to build credit and they have to start their financial lives. So can you talk about the best way to approach this?
Yeah, so responsible budgeting is always the first place I start. You know, moving from being an undergrad to life on your own is a huge step for families. Getting your budget in order is the responsible way to do it. And then testing into credit. A lot of folks graduate with student debt. Getting on the right foot and starting to pay it back is important. Managing your credit cards appropriately is another step. You want to be in a position 4 or 5 years out of school to buy your first car, buy your first home, really get on with life on your own. And you've got to be pretty thoughtful around that, around how you structure that so you're ready and your credit score is solid when you want to do those types of things.
And what about parents? What options do they have to try and finance their kids' college costs without sinking their own retirement funds?
Yeah, it's a really pressing issue. The headlines usually get grabbed around the student, but the parents on the other side of that equation are having just as much stress. It's very common nowadays for parents to finance their kids' education, whether it be co-signing or taking out debt on their own through the Federal Parent Plus program or other financing programs. One of the things that we always recommend parents do is to truly, really do their homework. There's a lot of ways to save money, even if you do want to help your child out in financing it. The federal programs come with over a 4% fee that you have to pay just to get a 7.5% interest rate. There are better options. Citizens just released a 0% fee, 6.5% interest rate program for parents, so you save a bunch of money. There are other programs like that. Doing your homework, the kind of key theme comes back to parents as well. There are better ways to operate than what is generally happening today, and more research is needed by families.
And then finally, are you telling a lot of your customers to refinance now their student debt before the Fed raises rates, maybe even December?
So the rate that you typically get when you're 18 years old and you have no credit and no income is higher than an interest rate that you would get when you're employed and you start to build your credit history. Nowadays, with the introduction of refinancing across the country, it should be almost unequivocal that the first thing a student does when they graduate is try to get a bit better deal. I got a job, I deserve a better rate, I should do that. We're encouraging everybody to do that. There's no fees to look and try to refinance. On top of that, it's obviously historically low interest rates, and unquestionably we're approaching a rising interest rate environment. There will always be a proposition that says when you graduate, you should get a better deal. But there's a window right now that we don't know how wide it's going to be open. It's certainly still here with historically low interest rates, and students should act now to try to lock in low interest rates, because it's a 20-year, 15-year loan. You're going to be dealing with this loan for the rest of your life.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Brendan.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching The Street.